the Everything But Politics podcast.
Hello. Welcome back to the Everything But Politics podcast. Joining us today is my friend, Michael Barayev. Michael, welcome to the show. It's good to be with you, brother.
I appreciate you. God bless you guys. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, our absolute pleasure. Michael, before we get into the thick of things, why don't you give our listeners a little background into who you are, what you do, and how you've been able to become successful in 2024?
Awesome. I love it. So I pretty much started, I had a very crazy life from 0 to 19. My life was a nightmare, right? So when people talk about what's your dreams, I didn't really have any dreams because growing up in a domestic violence abuse home, mom and dad, always fighting and killing each other, seeing the police come arrest your parents multiple times, getting physically abused, mentally abused, emotionally abused, ending up in hospitals, ended up in foster care system, getting kicked out of 8 out of 9 schools. Like you live a crazy life. And by the time you're 18, 19 years old, you're kind of like, I want everyone to know this, right? You kind of like hate the world a little bit, right? So at 19 years old, I was looking for something in my life to change. Like I just made a decision, like I cannot do this anymore. Like living in foster care, getting abused, going through all the bullshit, and sleeping in my car at 19, I was like, I have to change my life somehow, some way. So, praying to God every single day for like something to change and maybe send me somebody to help me out. And I met a mentor at 19, which changed my life drastically. And a lot of people may think that mentorship is not really vital or important because you have YouTube, you have AI, you have all these different things out there. But I believe that human connection with a mentor is the number one thing that can change your life. And that's what changed for me. So 19 years old, started, working in a network marketing business with my mentor at the time. And my whole life completely changed because I started to understand that I have control over my life. My environment is up to me. My results in my life are all up to me if I do the right things, which is basically, think the right stuff, speak the right stuff, act the right way, change my belief systems, change my habits, and become a different human being. And I ended up changing my life 180 degrees. And that's kind of like how my sales career kind of started, and it wasn't easy and it was very tough and I wasn't making a lot of money. As a matter of fact, a lot of people you guys are from Miami also, right? Originally, or where are you guys from?
We're from Indiana, originally near Chicago, Northwest Indiana. I'm the only one that lives here. I live in Boca. And Evan is currently in Indiana, with our other brother.
You're in Indiana,
Ethan.
okay. So I grew up in New York City, but I live in Miami, and a lot of people in these big cities they tend to make it seem for the younger generation that it's easy. Success is very easy, and success comes very fast. And you got to be 21 years old and have a Lambo, have a nice watch, have a couple of hot girls around you. Like that's what is expected of a lot of these young guys because they're finger fucking their stuff on Instagram. They think that's what the reality is. But in reality, it's a lot of punches in the face, a lot of nights where you're angry and upset and emotional, and there's not a lot of wins, so to say. There's a lot of L's that you have to eat on a daily basis, and a lot of young people, they don't see that. But that was my understanding of life. Take a bunch of L's, and eventually, somehow, some way, over time of compounding, you'll get that W, right? And I pretty much, was starting out in sales, and the first 5 years of sales, I was making less than $30,000 a year. I could never crack the $35,000 or $40,000 a year. Right? I don't understand why. Right? It just, from my luck, it just didn't work out for me that way. And then I ended up doing, and that was through network marketing and other different types of sales and working in the Diamond District. But at the age of 24, 23, I started working, for a big major company as an employee because I was like, you know what? I mean, it's not working out making 30 grand a year. It's not enough money. I'm going to probably just go submit my ego and go work for a company, right? Instead of being commission only, I'm going to go work for a company that's salary and commission. Did that for about 11 months. Realized that I'm not a good employee. I got fired. Okay. It was my first job that I got fired. I was like, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to go back to the door-to-door world and commission world. And that year in door-to-door, I made 139 grand. Like I realized that what changed for me was that the past 4 or 5 years that I was trying to bust my ass, I wasn't really working to the levels that I knew I needed to work. Like I was always looking for the shortcut. And a lot of people make this mistake when they're trying to work in sales, business, entrepreneurship, even in fitness. They're always trying to do the least amount possible to expect the greatest result. And in 2015, I made a transition in my thought process. I'm like, let me put the most amount of energy and effort and work ethic and expect very little. Right. And if it comes out more than that, great. But I focus more on the action side versus the output side, because a lot of people are so worried about the output. But I recognize that if I just focus on the input and master the way that I need to input my energy, my time, my resources, my energy, my money, whatever it may be, the output is eventually going to happen. It is impossible. It is impossible to defy the laws of physics. It is impossible to defy the laws of success. If you pound it and pound it and pound it, eventually, statistically, is going to happen where you're going to win, but you have to be consistent and persistent. So that's when that thing popped for me, right? In 2015, 16. And that's when I started to realize that it's not just about me making money. What if I start building a team and build a company out of that? And from 2016 to 2019, we were able to build our company to 150 employees. And, the rest is history. So, I mean, it just doesn't happen overnight, but every single night you have to put in that work. Every single day you got to put in that effort. And a lot of people hear that. It's all cliche bullshit. But in reality, are you actually doing that? Are you willing to not sleep? Are you willing to not eat? Are you willing to forget that you have a meal that you need to take? Like, are you willing to let go of some of the things that you enjoy to have the life that you will enjoy for the rest of your life? And a lot of people are not willing to sacrifice today for the long-term success that they want. And that's the problem with a lot of young people, in my humble but accurate opinion.
Yeah,
that's
totally.
That's kind of like my little story, so to say. Now we have a solar company. We invest in real estate. I also help people with building sales teams. So a lot of different things have happened throughout the years, but it wasn't always like that because everyone hears the success. I own this car. I own that. Who gives a shit? Look where I started, because you're probably in that situation thinking, how do I get myself out of that situation today?
And it's great. I heard it in your YouTube videos and most of your content. You just said it now. My humble yet accurate opinion. That's a great little thing you got going on there. But I'm curious. So you being in Brickell, right? I don't live there, but I've spent enough and plenty of time there. When you mentioned like the kids my age, right? 23, 24, 22, they're finger fucking their phones. They see the Lambo, they see the bikini, whatever. Like that's Brickell, right? You see it every day. I'm in Boca Raton. It's much, much slower. When you with the street interviews you're doing, and you're in the heart of all this clout, right? What are you seeing in real life? Forget the phones. What are you seeing in real life for people that are my age? And are their expectations, are they real, right? Are they attainable?
The question is this. It's not, are they attainable? The question is, do you actually want it? Because a lot of times people say, I want the Lambo, I want the Ferrari, I want this, I want that. But do you really want it? Or do you want it just to show to other people that you actually attained it, to show that your status in the industry or whatever it may be? Like, for example, I'll give you guys an example. I always had this vision as a young kid, like when I was, 19 years old, 18 years old. I was telling one of my buddies, I'm like, dude, because I was getting involved in a new business, network marketing. I was like, I'm going to make a lot of money. I'm going to be rich, whatever. And I'm like, one day I'm going to get my green Lamborghini. And he was laughing, like my dude, he was laughing so hard. He sounded like the Joker, right? It pissed me off so much that I will never forget that day. And I was like, you know what? I can't wait to get that Lambo to prove to this fucking guy. Now, ask me this question. Michael, did you buy the Lambo?
Did you buy the Lambo?
No, I did not buy the Lambo. Not because I couldn't afford it. As a matter of fact, I remember the day when I had 250 grand sitting in my bank account. This was, I don't know, I was 26 years old, 25 years old, whatever it was. And I was like, okay, I can finally afford the Lambo. I'm like, you know what? Let me wait till I can afford two of them. Then half a year passed by, I'm like, okay, I can afford two of them. Let me see if and you know what's crazy? I never bought the Lambo till this day. Not because I couldn't afford it, not because that I didn't like it. It's because the reason why I wanted it in the first place at that time was for the wrong fucking reason. And a lot of people want certain stuff. They want to have that status to prove to other people or to show to other people that they actually made it. Now, if you enjoy cars and you love Lamborghinis or you enjoy like I enjoy watches, right? So I have a couple of watches. I enjoy that. I like it, but I don't give a shit if someone thinks it's a nice watch, not a nice watch. For me, I like a watch. And by the way, a lot of girls don't even know what the fuck the watch is anyway. A lot of girls don't even know what kind of car you have anyway. A lot of it is going to attract a lot of dudes. Like you think it's going to attract girls, it just attracts a bunch of fucking guys, right? It's just the simple way how it is, right? But are you getting it because you actually want it as a reward for yourself and you actually enjoy that piece? Or are you getting it for a deeper reason that you probably cannot, expose on the outside? You're kind of afraid of saying that it's actually because I want to show off to other people so they feel that I'm important. Yeah, you have to ask yourself that question.
But I would also add to that and say most of the people, that do want the material or physical objects, they're not chasing anything, right? Like a business, a podcast, like they're not building something. So they chase these physical material possessions.
And there's nothing wrong with having a nice car, nice watch. Like I have a nice apartment. I love the apartment that I live in and I have a great view because it motivates me, right? But I don't sit there every single day showing the world, oh, look where I live. It doesn't matter. Here and there, no problem, to inspire young people is fine. But you got to realize you got to live your life for you. And 90% of people, in my opinion, right? Like I like to say, in my humble but accurate opinion, 90+% of people are not living for themselves. They're living for other people. They're worried about what other people think of them. They're worried about how they can show off to other people. They're worried about how to have a status in the marketplace. And I give you an example. When you get to the point in your life when you don't give a flying fuck what others think about your life, your choices, how you live your life, what you wear, what you what you care about, that is the day you have freedom. Freedom and having this amazing life is not about adding more shit to your plate. It's about having less things on your plate and doing whatever the fuck you want, when you want, with whoever you want. For example, the Telegram CEO, right? He owns no jets, no car, none of that shit. And he literally says the reason why is because the more shit you own, the more you got to think about it, which is fucking true. Think about owning a yacht. You got to think about where it's docked. Hurricane comes in. You got to think about moving it. And you might say, yeah, Michael, you have the money to pay someone. You're still consuming energy to think about that shit. Now, if you want to, go ahead. But the people that I've seen, from the people that I've learned from, my mentors who are wealthier than most people you could talk to, right? I have one of my mentors who sold a very successful company, which I'm not going to name, but he sold it for $500 million, right? $500 million, which means he put $500 million in liquid cash in his bank account the day he sold the company. These are the guys that I want to learn from. And to be honest with you, you'll never know that he's mega rich. You'll have no idea. And it doesn't mean that he doesn't want the nice stuff. It means that he cares about things that are way more important than just showing off that you have a nice car or a nice watch. Right? So a lot of young people, they're trying to, if you like the nice stuff, by all means, go for it, chase it. But make sure you're chasing it for the right reasons, not for the reasons that you've been programmed by social media and by Instagram to want those things. Because in reality, a lot of you guys will get that shit. 6 months later, you're not going to give a fuck about that Lambo or that watch or anything else. It won't matter unless it was sentimental for you for a reason why you wanted it in the first place.
Michael, I want to talk a little bit about some of your mentors. What kind of mentors are you looking for, and what is most of these mentors, what are their professions?
Interesting question. Yeah. So I've had a slew of mentors in my life, right? And you have different mentors for different things. For example, I have a spiritual mentor. In our religion, we're Jewish, we talk about a rabbi. So I have a rabbi that gives me spiritual advice on what needs to get done in my spiritual journey, right? Because you can't ask a rabbi about money unless he's actually successful in making money. But I would rather ask a rabbi about spirituality. How do I get closer to God? What are some things you recommend here? How do I get closer to my spouse or whatever it may be, right? So that's a spiritual mentor. Then you have an emotional mentor. 90+% of people think that by just going to a therapist once a year or talking to a friend here and there, their emotions are taken care of. But have you ever sat down with a therapist, a professional, or emotional mentor to say, hey, I got some demons, I got some traumas, I got some shit going on, I need to work on this shit. Or I'm doing amazing in my life, I'm doing amazing in my business, but I want to get to the next level because I need to know what are my blind spots? What are some things that I'm struggling in that are not, what are the things that are holding me back from becoming the best version I could possibly become to hit the next level in my life? And I want you to tell me what the fuck is wrong with me. Please. And if you don't open up and be open with them, and you don't allow them to be open with you, how can you get to the next level of your best version of yourself? Like, how can you? Right? So there's different mentors for different things. A lot of people think mentor is just one person that helps you in all areas of your life. That's not so smart, in my opinion. You need multiple mentors for different areas of your life. And by the way, right now I'm seeking for a business mentor, a new business mentor that can help me in specific industries that I'm trying to focus on. Right? So you have to figure out, where are these people at? What are they looking for? Are they dead mentally? Because a lot of times you have someone that made a lot of money, but they gave up. And they're not in the game anymore. They're not in the hunt anymore. So the market is different. The economy is different. The game they played 20 years ago is completely different than today. So you have to figure out what your mentor is accomplishing now, what he accomplished in the past, and how he can serve you to get to the next level. And you might say, Michael, how do you get a mentor? Right? You might say, well, how do I find these mentors? I'm 21 years old. I'm fucking lost in the sauce. How do I find someone to serve me? Well, this is the question you need to kind of ask yourself. What kind of value can I bring to this mentor that can change his life, excluding money? Because a lot of times you're looking for mentorship that someone is successful in, let's say, business. He doesn't need your fucking money, but he may need something else. He may need a little bit more energy. He may need a little bit more time. So he doesn't have the time or energy to go do something. Maybe you can figure that out and do it for him for free. And say, yo, I'm going to do this for you just out of free value. And you build that relationship. Right? But you have to figure out, what can I bring to this person's life that can add value to him so he can pay attention to me and say, you know what? I like this guy. I see where he's going. I believe in this person.
You mentioned taking your life and career to the next level. For you, did that happen in New York, or did you moving to Florida, was that a big change?
No, so 2010 was when I met my mentor. That's when I started to work on myself. So I made a commitment at 19 years old. I'm going to focus on my personal development for the rest of my life, meaning books, audios, hanging out at events, meeting new people, right? Exploring new information. So educating myself. So for example, a lot of people, they use their cars as a nice little, music festival, which is nothing wrong with that. I like to enjoy good music here and there too. Like, I love house music, right? But I'm very careful to the music that I listen to on a daily basis. And I also use my car. I use it as a university on wheels. I like to put on podcasts. I like to put on books. Like I go through 50 books a year. How many people do you know are actually going through 50 books a year consistently? Not 1 year, yes, 1 year, no. I'm talking about for the last decade, I've been going through 50 books plus a year. Not many people, right? And
Mhm.
you might say, Michael, how do you become so consistent with that? Because I made a commitment at 19 years old. I will never stop educating myself. My life is about personal development, personal growth, and I'm going to focus on all areas of my life, which is the 7 areas, which I always talk about, which is your mental area, your emotional area, your physical area, your financial area, right? You have your relational area, you have your spiritual area, and your recreational area. You got to focus on the 7 areas of life. And if you focus on all 7 areas on a consistent basis and you personally grow, your life gets better 1% every single day, every single week, every single month. You don't see the results right away, but over time, you see those results. So the compound effect really kicks in after 2, 3, 4 years of you diligently focusing on improving yourself. It's not going to happen in month 1 or month 2. Not going to happen in probably year 1. You'll see some changes, but the massive changes are going to probably come in year 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then you're going to be pinching yourself saying, what did I do to deserve this? Because now your mind becomes normalized to the success that you have. Like making a couple of $1 million a year becomes normal. And if you make less than
Mhm.
that, you feel like weird. Just like, for example, for you, if you make $3 an hour right now, you'd be like, that's so awkward. It's impossible because you've normalized whatever money you make right now. And that's
Mhm.
the process of growing yourself. You want to normalize the successes as you keep growing and growing and growing.
When did you have the epiphany that you need to make social media a key part of your life and your career?
This was 2016 when I started my company. I recognized that a lot of other people were doing it, and Instagram was used for. I don't remember, a lot of it was fitness and memes and pictures and stuff like that. You
Mhm.
saw Vine coming out of that time, so I was utilizing social media. The problem was that I wasn't. I didn't put my all into social media. Like I was going into it, making one video a week, one video every couple of days. The quality wasn't as good, the quantity wasn't there, so I was kind of like dabbling, right? And I did just enough to piss myself off for about 4 or 5 years, right? Because a lot of people, they dabble in social media, or they dabble in working, they dabble in working out, they dabble in a lot of areas. They do just enough to piss themselves off. I give you an example. If I told you right now to go boil water, and you put the water on the stove and it's at a 210 degrees, will the water boil?
No, it's not hot enough.
No, it's not hot enough. What about 211?
No,
No, it has to be what?
maybe.
200. It has
Yeah.
to be 212 degrees for water to boil. You put
I
it
didn't
at
know that.
211. It's fine. It's fine. You
Yeah.
put it at 211. It's going to be a fucking hot stove with a hot pot of water, but it will not freaking boil because it's not at 212 degrees. And a lot of people, they operate at 211, 210, and they expect 350-degree results.
That's a great
And that's the problem.
analogy. I've never
And
heard
yeah,
that.
and that to be honest with you, that was me for many years, which is why I suffered from like I was so angry because I wanted to win, but I was doing just enough. Like I always tell my sales guys, you do just enough to piss yourself off, you'll be pissed. You gotta go that extra gear, you gotta over deliver, you gotta go all in, and by doing that, you will get the results that you want. But most people are not willing to do that. They always say, I work smart. Okay, you work smart. I work hard and I work smart. You got to double it. You got to work hard and smart, not just work smart. Everyone thinks that with AI, all this shit, they're going to work less. No, no. Why don't you go all in and use AI? Like, why don't you use both of those things? Now you become a force to be reckoned with in the marketplace.
Speaking of AI, there are so many question marks, but then obviously ways to use it. How do you and your team use AI?
So, I mean, to be honest with you, I don't use AI to the levels that you would say. I was like, oh my God, it's making me millions and millions of dollars every single day. You can, it
Hmm.
depends on the business. Like for me, content creation, if you're in content creation, utilize AI. AI gives you so many freaking ideas, and you can teach your AI to think the way you want it to think. Right? That's number one. Number two, we have a lot of sales. I have a lot of salespeople that, either doing cold calling or door to door. I used to kind of formulate the pitches of my own brain, sitting there trying to figure out this and that. Now I have a computer that is 30,000 times smarter than me and you combined to help me
Hmm.
navigate and building those pitches, right? With the right tonality, with the right this and that. So there's a lot of ways you can utilize it. I also utilize it for like simple shit. Like back in the day, you need to hire someone or ask someone to help you with certain tasks. Now I just say, yo, AI, how do I create this formula? Because I don't have time to like ask someone in my team to create a specific formula I need for something in Excel as an example. I'm like, dude, do me a favor, create this shit for me. And it just does it within seconds.
Yeah.
So it's cost effective, and it's also the speed and efficiency is incredible. So like, there's so many ways you can utilize it, right? There's so many, so many, so many ways. So I made a video a long time ago that if you can figure out, like sit down and like write down every single task that either employees do or that you do in your company, and try to say, okay, can AI do it? Or can a specific artificial intelligence app do this for me? If the answer is yes, then eliminate that task and have AI do it for you. Right. So a lot of my stuffs are like a lot of my apps and my programs are connected with different apps and different zaps and all this shit. And I enjoy building those systems, have my team helping me out as well. But like this is part of the being a CEO is, there's 4 areas that you need to focus on as a CEO. I don't know if you guys are interested in knowing that, but I think it might help some of your audience to kind of figure out. If you're trying to be an entrepreneur, you got to focus on, you're the CEO. In the beginning, you're the gardener, you're the flower picker, you're everything, bro. You're the delivery guy, you're everything right in the beginning. But their whole objective as a CEO is to X yourself out of all positions and mainly stay in these 4 positions, right? Number 1 is operations, right? Not physical operations, not doing the actual work, but building out the systems and the processes for the operations of the business, right? The second part is, just want to make sure I say it the right way. What's that thing called? Holy shit. Biz dev, there you go. That's the word I'm looking for. Biz dev, right? Biz dev is basically the sales, the relationships, the vendors, like building those relationships with other companies to help your business grow, right? So you have operations and you have biz dev. Now, these 2 are not going to give you exponential growth. These 2 are going to give you linear growth. It's very 1 + 1 + 1. Over time, it grows very, your business grows little by little. The last 2 positions that you're supposed to do as a CEO, these are what gives you the exponential growth, which is leadership development and innovative campaigns, meaning creating new campaigns for the marketing, new innovative campaigns to inspire your employees, inspire your customers, inspire the marketing, right? Whatever it may be. But the leadership development and innovative campaigns, those 2 things is what makes you the biggest bang for your buck and explodes your fucking company growth. When I say leadership development, it means developing your team, developing, for example, in my instance, my sales guys, my call center sales guys, my operations team, like leading them and developing them to help them become better people. Because the better they become, the better they can perform, the better they perform, the better the company performs. So as a CEO, if you focus on those 4 areas, right, your whole objective is to eventually stay away from operations and stay away from biz dev and hire certain, executive roles to run those. But the last 2, you never get out of. That is your role as an executive. That's your role as a CEO. And a lot of people, they call themselves entrepreneurs, but in reality, they're still stuck in their business like a mouse in a cage, like a hamster in a wheel, running around doing all the bullshit. And that's not being a business owner, in my humble opinion. Like I said, right? It's about freeing yourself and having more time available to focus on those 2 last things that we talked about, because that's where the exponential growth comes from.
Yeah, you know what, Michael? So marketing, you mentioned. We're at a point right now where as our show grows and we obtain higher caliber guests, right? I'm so fascinated with marketing and reaching as many people as possible. It really is crazy, right? Especially in the world of social media. I think, let me ask you this. So given you have a few videos with multi-million views, that's great. That's like as good of marketing as you can get, right? Do you think you've done something different in those videos, or you think the algorithm just picked them up for whatever reason?
Great question. So I always say this: content and what's that word? I'm trying to define. Content and frequency is what most people are missing. When I say content, what is your content like? Who are you trying to attract? What are you trying to create? What are you trying to do? Like, what are you creating this shit for? Right? Not the quality in terms of like the aesthetics, but the content itself. Good content will always go viral. Right? Now the algorithm supports that, because the way the algorithm has been changed in the last 5, 6, 7 years.
Which algorithm?
All algorithms
All
now.
of them. Okay.
Before it was different, right? Now sometimes TikTok and Instagram, they always fight they change the algorithms all the time. You have to pay attention to that. But you have to understand the human psychology. These algorithms are not the superpower. The superpower is the user. The user is the superpower. You and me are the superpower that are sitting there either liking it, sharing it, commenting, and showing the algorithm and feeding and teaching the algorithm what to do. So the algorithm is not the magic. The magic is the human psychology. So if you can figure out what do people want to watch, what do people want to hear, what do people want to listen to, and create content that you are interested in, obviously, and you're able to support that audience, your shit's going to blow up. Now, not every single video will blow up, because sometimes the algorithm or the people, they don't like it, but you have to understand the psychology of human beings, right? So some videos can be so amazing, have the most amazing information in the world, but the first 3-4 seconds of the video, the hook, is trash. So you did not capture the person's attention. Especially when they're finger fucking, you got to get their attention, especially with short videos.
I noticed that in your content. You do the quick intro and then you introduce yourself.
In which one? In the
YouTube,
YouTube or what?
YouTube.
YouTube, 100%. Because the first 3-4 seconds, they're like, who the fuck is this guy? I don't care about him. Right? What is this gonna? What will this video do for me? Is what they're thinking about. They're like,
Well,
who the fuck are you? Yeah.
how have you learned to use the thumbnail to your advantage, right? Do you use AI for that? Like have a general idea, have AI spit something out? Or do you kind of know when you make the video exactly what you're gonna put?
I learned that the thumbnail, the wording, is way more important than the pictures. What I recognize,
agree.
it's
I
the
agree.
word, it's what the person perceives. Like you got to capture their attention. Remember, they're finger fucking on the browsing section of YouTube, as an example. Talk about YouTube, for example.
Yes.
They're like, oh, what's this? It's got to capture their attention.
It's gotta be
If they
simple
don't,
too.
yes, and if they don't know you, it's even worse, right? Because you have to
Correct.
fight that to say, hey, pay attention to me. So a lot of times the wording is like, okay, this video will serve you in this area, right? And you have to kind of be creative with it. You got to keep testing and testing and testing to figure it out. I figured it out on the shorts. On the long form, we're still figuring that part out, right? Because I haven't hit the millions of views on the long form.
Mm-hmm.
Where the long form, in my opinion, I feel like it's more juicier content. But guess what? Nobody gives a fuck about the content in the beginning, in the end. They care about the thumbnail. They care about the words on the headline. They care about the first 30 seconds of the actual video. So every platform is different.
Yeah, we're on YouTube Shorts. We post on YouTube Shorts every day. YouTube, we've talked about this. YouTube, in my opinion, has the most potential of all the platforms. Just given that it's the second biggest search engine in the world, our grandma uses YouTube. Everyone YouTubes. Like you search something on Google, YouTube's typically the first thing. If I look up Michael Barayev, YouTube, right? It's not TikTok, not Instagram, YouTube.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Instagram and TikTok is like boom, 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 boom,
Yeah,
boom. Wake up,
it
wake
gets
up, wake up, wake up,
lost.
wake up. YouTube, it gets lost after a couple of weeks, right?
Yep.
YouTube, it can revive certain videos you posted
Totally.
weeks ago, months ago, years ago, because we call that evergreen content, right? It always is there as long as people are searching for that kind of information, which they're always going to search for. As an example, let's say in your situation, how to get better at health or whatever it may be, how to get better at X, Y, and Z, or whatever it may be. They will search that 6 months from now, a year from now. So I like to make content that is not like current news, because there's some channels that focus on news, and that's okay. Problem is that you have to constantly keep creating new content because nobody cares about 2022 news in 2024,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Correct.
So if you
Yeah.
create content that can last forever, like for example, sales training or how to market yourself, how to do X, those things can last for a very long time, which is why on YouTube you want to put in that content. But you got to know the platform. Every platform is completely different.
And in this world of podcasting, right? You know, it doesn't matter if you're Joe Rogan, if you're Tucker Carlson, or if you're everything but politics. The guests matter, right? You listen to certain Joe Rogan episodes because of the guests. You know Joe Rogan's going to be there. And for that reason, the shelf life on some of these episodes, like you said, last 2, 5, 10 years. YouTube will last for a long time. We talked about this with Zach Mississika. He
Yep.
started the Makeshift Project. If you're familiar with them, they do like the rankings. They're blowing up on TikTok and YouTube. That's the whole thing. So Evan and I made the mistake when we started. We went into long form before we went into short form, right? So, but we were a podcast. We didn't look at it as content like we did a year ago when we started all this. And now the short form, that's where most of the growth comes from, right? These clips, people collaborating, doing that whole entire thing. Oh, you know all this, right? Did you begin short form ASAP, or did you kind of fall into the same thing we did?
No, so I started with short form first. And I did short form and I was dabbling with YouTube, but I really went all in on YouTube. I would say maybe like a couple of years ago, maybe like 2-3 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I went 100% all in on social media in June of 2022 or 2021. I remember exactly when. I think it was 2022. I went all in. I would say like I went in, but I would stop. I would do it for 3, 4, 5 months, and then a videographer will quit or whatever. Like, fuck it, right? And I just didn't want to keep spending money on that. Because it's a very big investment. It's not easy. I mean, you can find ways to kind of make it cheaper, this and that. But at the end of the day, like this is an investment. I spend,
Time.
investment
Yeah,
of money
yeah.
and investment of time and
Yeah.
investment of energy behind the camera, creating the content. Like after a while, like, okay, I got to talk about new topics. It's like, how do I get more engaging? You're always changing things up. So it's a lot of work. And not many people can withstand the pain or the trajectory of being consistent week in, week out, no matter if they have a vacation, they have a baby, whatever it may be. Like I have right now content enough till January. I
Is
literally
that
have
for more than once a day or just daily?
no. I'm talking about like my team posts 3 times a day. on every
Okay.
single platform. Except, so we post two in the morning. We post one new content, business content, or a review, a reaction video.
Yep.
And in the middle of the day, we repost an older video that did well or whatever it may be. We just repost it again. Because remember, every time I have new followers, they didn't see that shit.
But how about
I don't
YouTube,
want-
right? If we mentioned YouTube, the shelf life's longer. Do you repost the old content onto YouTube also, or just TikTok and Instagram?
Just YouTube. I mean, just Instagram, TikTok. I'm testing it out to see how it works. Yeah, I haven't done it on YouTube yet, but that's another possibility. When you have 10, 20, 30, 40,000 followers that are brand new, repost that video again. Who gives a shit? Nobody knows. You think people are sitting there surfing all the way to the bottom? Nobody does that. Very rarely do they do that unless they search for it. So you might as well just post it as a brand new piece of content. And if it's great, valuable content, you can repost it, right? So that's the second thing we post in the middle of the day. And then the third content is the interviews in the street. That's 7 days a week. That's 7 days a week, right? I have enough content from now all the way till January to be able to post.
That's
because
amazing.
I work like a Barayev to get all that content because I don't like to go out there every single day. I go out there once a week, I cram it all in, get it done, boom.
Yeah, those are good. And that's such a great place to do those interviews too, right?
Oh, Brickell?
Yeah, you get the most, what a cast of characters that come about, right? You get like the top, you get the top, upper echelon, and you get the bottom of the bottom, right? And everyone, it just
we get every. Listen, you don't know what you're gonna get that day. It's a wild west, and it's like whatever God's gonna give you that day, you just accept, and that's
and
it.
it's global. It's not just Florida people. It's absolutely global. People from all
100%.
over the world. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
what I love about Brickell because a lot of people come here, so it's like it's always new people, always new conversations, and I love doing it, and it brings a lot of attention, right? And money follows attention, so having that attention is really powerful.
So for anyone listening to this that, is contemplating entering this world of content creation, entrepreneurship, podcasting, street interviews, whatever, anything that, you have to put yourself out there. What advice would you give to them?
Awesome. So what I would say, number one, stop giving a shit what other people think of you. Like if you worry too much what others are going to think of you, or if they're going to like your content or they're not going to like your content, well, if you're worried about the comments, if you're worried about being embarrassed, what your family would think, what your girlfriend's family, like if you start thinking about what others think, you're not going to survive in this fucking industry. It's just not going to happen.
Mhm.
You have to give 2 squirts of piss on other people's opinions. Now, that doesn't mean you don't respect them. This doesn't mean you don't love them. You just have to understand that you're in your lane. Like I give you an example. Show me one entrepreneur that is building a successful business that is out there with a microphone in the middle of the fucking streets.
Doesn't happen.
I'm the only one. There's other people doing it, but they're young, they're ambitious,
Yeah.
they maybe have a job, maybe have a side hustle, but not someone that has a successful entrepreneurial background or as a business owner is willing to lower, quote unquote, lower his ego, so to say, to go out there and fucking ask questions. I don't give a flying fuck. I don't care because I understand that in order to be respected and loved in the marketplace, 50% of people are going to love you, 50% are going to fucking hate you. Either way, they fucking know you. That's the mindset you need to have. Like Donald Trump as an example, right?
I thought the same
50%,
thing.
50% of the fucking country loves him. 50% of the country hates him. But guess what? He still got elected as president. You don't need 100% of the people to like you. You just need 50% of people to hate you and talk about you every fucking day. If you listen to the liberals when they were posting their content, every fucking word was about Trump, 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 Trump. And then I go back to the Republicans. I don't have to hear Trump because I'm looking at him. I'm like, Trump, I'm looking at him here and I'm hearing about him here. I'm like, no wonder he fucking won because everyone's talking about him. He's a genius marketer, right? And if you understand that it's okay to be different, find your little unicorn status and go out there into the marketplace and either podcast, interview, create content, whatever it may be, and just fucking do it. And another second tip I would say is frequency will always beat quality of content. Frequency will always beat the quality of content. If you post once a week, good luck. It's not going to happen for you. If you post once a day, you're in the right stage, right place. I recommend pounding it. Do more than what is expected of you. Bombard the marketplace. Well, Michael, I don't want my people to unfollow me on social media. Motherfucker, they were gonna buy your shit anyway. Who cares if they unfollow you? I want people to unfollow me. If you don't like my shit, please unfollow me. I only want people to follow my shit if they like my shit. That's all I want.
Preach.
So don't worry about who's gonna follow. Oh, Michael, you're posting too much. Unfollow, motherfucker. It's okay. You don't like it, other people do. 50% love me, 50% hate me. Either way, motherfucker, you're gonna know me. And that's the mindset you need to have. Those would be the 2 tips.
We've lost a lot of followers. Humble yet accurate. Michael Barayev. Michael, appreciate you joining the show, brother.
God bless you guys. I appreciate you guys. You guys are amazing.
Talk soon. Be good. Thanks, guys.